Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today we are going to be making some, I want to say origami, but we're going to make sort of the origami version and then a cheats version, which is far more my style. Like no folding involved. So I am going to start off with version number 1. We are going to make some men's shirts, some boys' shirts for boys' cards, men's cards, but you can adapt these into being just t-shirts as well if you would like that style. I have this Time Flies paper pack here, and I absolutely love this pack. I must say I do tend to hoard it, and it's time to use a little bit of it. So we are going to do that today. Now, the measurements, I'm not great with measurements. I'm going to give you measurements, but if you're unsure or it doesn't work out for you, then you can always practice with a piece of copy paper, get the measurements right, and then use your good paper. Now, for this one today, I am going to be using this sort of greeny, bluey, tealy colour, and that is going to be my shirt, and then the clock face is going to be the background. So for this, I'm going to cut this down to be roughly, at the moment, they're 6x6 sheets, and I'm going to cut this down to be roughly 4x6. Now, measurements do not have to be precise in this. You can definitely sort of just, you know, see how you go, and if it's 4 1/4 or if it's 3 3/4, don't worry, keep making it, it'll work out fine. That's the kind of crafts or origami that I like, where it doesn't have to be too precise. So once I have my piece of paper, I'm going to do some scoring. This is not necessary, you can absolutely fold, it just makes my life easier. So I score at 1 inch, 2 inches, and 3 inches, and that gives us 4 equal parts. Now, is that part of the reason why I made it 4 inches wide? Yeah, absolutely. Less maths is good. Now, I have a scoring blade on my trimmer as well. They're different colours, so you can't get them mixed up, but there you can just see those 3 score lines in the middle. As I said, if you want to just fold, go for gold and fold. Now, all you have to do is fold this in half so that you can find the center line, but I already have the score mark so I can see it, and then fold in your 2 side pieces so that you can meet in the middle. So this is all very easy. I promise there's no complicated steps because I don't love complicated anyhow. Now, at the top, you just want to fold both of these out, and these are going to be your sleeves for the background. You can honestly fold them and then refold them if you want bigger sleeves. Like once you've folded it all, you can, there's nothing you kind of can't go back and change. So if these end up being too small for you, then you can come back and change them again in a minute. So it's okay, just sort of roughly however much you think. See, I'm refolding there because that one, I want them to be a little bit bigger. They were a little bit too small. And then that is going to be the sleeves. Now, then I'm going to work on the other end, and this is going to create our collar. As I said, bear with me in this video. If the folding thing is not yours, then I will show you my favorite way, and so simple, that we can create exactly the same look, but no folding involved. So at the top, we've turned it sort of upside down and on its back side. I fold down a little tab. Now, here's the thing. When you fold the paper, you get this extra little white line. If you don't want that in your collar, then cheat like I do and cut it off. I know there's meant to be no folding in origami, but this is also, the paper is a little bit thicker, and so it's not going to fold quite as perfectly as origami paper might, but we just cut it off and that's okay. And so once you've got the little collar, then we are going to fold this the other way. So once it's like this, you've got the fold coming towards you, then flip it back around and we're going to work on the other side. And then this bit here is going to come in, as I said, to create the collar. So you want the corners to come in. And as I said, this paper at this point is a little bit thicker. So it's not hard to bend, but it is certainly thicker and it's going to stay there nicely. So there's our little collar, and then this is so simple. All you do is fold it up and tuck it under those 2 little collar pieces, and that is your shirt. Now this is very simple origami, don't get me wrong, it's very simple folding and it looks gorgeous. So there are several things that you can do to change this look up a little bit. I am going to add a tie. Now this is a scrap of paper. It's that very top bit, that is perforated, folded off. It has perforated edges, and so I decided to make this into a tie because waste not, want not, and a couple of funky patterns together is always fun. So I just wing this. I'm sure there are dyes out there, but it depends on the size shirt that you make. So I do like a little round knot at the top, so to speak, and then I kind of just make it a tie shape, but not hard. I'm just cutting it out. If you weren't sure, then you could always draw on the back of the paper first until you got roughly the shape. I always just sort of cut, then hold it up against my image, cut, hold it back up against the image, and see where we go from there. So that looks okay to me. We're okay, pretty good. Then I also thought that I would add in a little pocket as well, and all I do for the pocket is just add a little piece, a little sort of rectangle, and then I fold down the top piece and make that bit a triangle. This will all make sense, just look at the video. I'm not very good at explaining things, and that's maybe why I have the video here. So there you go, there's a rectangle, and then I make the top little bit a triangle, and this folds down to become a cute little pocket that'll go on there as well. Now, that is our shirt. I am going to show you how I turn this into a card, and then I'm going to show you another card as well, as I said, a much more simple way. Now, for today, I am going to be making these Father's Day cards because here in New Zealand, we have not had Father's Day yet. It is coming up in September for us. However, I believe that the US and the UK, they've already celebrated back in the middle of June this year. And so that's okay. This certainly doesn't have to be a Father's Day card. This can be birthdays. This could be retirement. This could be, I don't know, make it anything. You can make any card anything, honestly. But as I said, for me, I'm making them Father's Day cards, but just ignore that sentiment and you can change it up. Now, I'm going to do not much to the background here. All I'm doing is adding a little bit of Vintage Photo Distress Oxide brown ink to the edges of the shirt and to the edge of the background piece. As I said, this little stamp set here is going to be my Father's Day stamp set for those of us who still need them. It's a great little one, especially an occasion like Father's Day that is just once a year, and I don't give out as many Father's Day cards as I do birthday cards. It's nice to be able to purchase just a small stamp set, and that way the cost is obviously lower and for something that I use less often, but good to have one in the stash nonetheless. Then I'm going to use some liquid glue. This is the Ranger Multi-Medium in the matte finish in that little glue bottle. Pop this down onto a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card base. I've been getting a lot of questions recently on how I cut up my card bases and the paper that I use. The paper I use is the Frenchville brand. It is from Spotlight here in New Zealand, and it is available, the exactly same one is available in Australia as well at your Spotlight. I get the 300 pound, which is, the 300 GSM, which is around 110 pound. It's pretty heavyweight, beautiful paper for ink blending, for alcohol markers, for stamping on. It's a good all-rounder. I would compare it to my Nina Solar White that I used to use, but obviously much more readily available for me here. Now, this is where I'm just putting everything together. This is so simple. Pop the tie down the middle. I do bend it to give it a little bit of dimension as well. And these little finishing touches around putting the pocket on, the tie, and you can add a couple of buttons with a pen. I think this is stunning. I really love this. So super simple. Didn't take me long to put together. No stamps or dies involved, well, apart from the stamp for the Happy Father's Day. But pretty fun. Okay, we're going to move on to the next version. So this version is probably my favorite. And this just involves a couple of simple things. So as I said, you can make this any size you want. But this is 2 inches by 1.5 inches. Then you need a thin strip 1.5 inches long. I just make it the same size as the base of the t-shirt. That makes life easy. Then 2 sleeves. I don't measure these. I freehand cut them. You honestly can't notice. But they need to be about that big. 2 little daubs of glue, or if you want to make life quicker, you can just use double-sided tape. Decide which pattern I want to use which side. And I have these little sleeves coming out the side here. I am very zoomed in, and that's why I'm not great at focusing where the camera is. But you can see these bits coming out the top. We cut those off. That's okay. This is the not origami version, and so we can cut as we want. Now, I'm going to put this on a black background because I think it's easier for you to see. The sleeves are not perfectly even. There are bits coming up the top, and that's okay. So this is what it looks like from the back, but don't worry about what's happening on the back because that will be glued down. So once that is dry enough, this is the collar that we are going to create here. Now, I put a couple of little, cuts on an angle, diagonal cuts, and then I have them sort of facing upwards Now, this is adjustable. I just fold them in and I kind of like them to meet in the middle. Now, does that mean my folds are perfect? No, but I just sort of slip and slide them around until they are roughly meet in the middle, and this is going to create our collar. Now, these shirts are quite little because I'm going to be putting 3 of these on the card, so they are a little bit fiddly, but you can obviously make them much bigger. You can make the collar as wide as you want. I would suggest starting wider, and then if it looks funky, unfold it and trim it down a little bit, and then refold. If it looks right, then you're good to go. That's what I do anyhow. So I've cut off my little sleeves. They now look good. To attach the collar, I just use a separate little scrap piece of cardstock, add a little bit of glue. If you want instant, obviously double-sided tape might be better, but glue is going to be fine. It's what I was using for the first card. Pop the collar on the top, then add the little pocket, and we are good. It's very, very similar to the first one. Very, very basic, and does not take me long to cut out, does not take me long to put together. It's the perfect kind of little shirt. Then I'm going to create one in these oranges and yellows, and by the magic of editing, I can just whiz through this. But it truly is all the pieces that you need. It's really, really simple. The folding of the collar is probably the trickiest part, but as I said, start with any width. You'll soon sort of get a feel for what works and what looks right. Don't worry about whether the sleeves are, we just trim them and sort of make them look good for you. There's the next one, the yellowy and orange one. These are so cute. I must admit, I really, really enjoyed making these. Getting out some patterned papers and putting a couple of different types together. Then there is this gorgeous blue one. Again, all we need is that little pocket, and you can see the unfolded kind of shape there on the black. So it's just like a little square with a triangle at the top. All I do is cut a big rectangle, fold the top bit of the rectangle over, and then I'm able to cut a little triangle in the other bit. This is also going to be a Father's Day card. I muck up that little bottom stamping there because I hesitated. So stamp it at the top. I'm going to cut this just into a very, very simple, gorgeous straight line. I am doing a slimline card for this one, which is a rarity for me. But each kid wanted to write their own little bits and pieces, and they requested this type of card, so that's fine. This card was for grown-up kids, by the way, adults who were giving it to their father, because not my kids. My kids will make their own. They will probably watch this video and make their own versions of this. They love crafting. They love paper crafting, all the good things, and so they will have a ball making their own little shirt cards. I do some squiggly lines just because that's so easy. You could use a matting layer. That would absolutely look fabulous too. And then when I bought in these little shirts and I put them down just here, I thought that looks really cute just as is. Imagine those on a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch card, and but having it sort of landscape rather than portrait. I liked that, just how I put them down there. Perfect. Anyhow, I'm going to space these out. I have got some foam tape on the back just to give them a little bit of dimension. I was fussing around with which order I wanted them in, but actually it barely makes a difference. So I'm going to keep this really, really simple. Foam tape on the back, all 3 coming down the card, and then the little Father's Day sentiment is going to go straight through the middle. Very, very plain and simple. I do add some buttons onto these with a pen, and I think that really brings them to life. There's lots of things that you can do from here. This is just the very basic version, but basic is good for me. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video. I did put out a shorts video as well, and I got more questions on it. So this is sort of the long version of it, of the cards that I created. If you enjoyed this video, then please remember to do all the good things, give it the thumbs up, all those things. Leave me a comment, let me know if this is something that you would make for your father or just for a happy birthday card. If you would like to support my channel, I will leave a link to the Buy Me a Coffee website. That's down below for all of the videos that I create for you guys. There is always 3 videos a week, if not more, and the supplies are always linked down below. But other than that, I will see you in the next video.